melanated people, God's people. Man, it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And of course, we're out here loving, living, and enjoying life. I want you to take a look at this video, and then I'll be right back.
A lie. Everything we've been taught in the American education system is all a lie. Yes, Native Americans weren't the original people of this land. We actually took it from black people. We were so good at it that we just wiped out any trace of their language and their culture. Well,
yeah, that's interesting. You have to do your research, melanated people. You have to do it for yourself. You can't trust the school books, the history books. Definitely can't trust any of that crap, the news media, movies, TVs. Now, some stuff in movies is true, but you got to be able to see through it to realize what they're really trying to say. And I say all that to say that I grew up in a town called Greensboro, Alabama. And it's about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, south of a place called Moundville, Alabama. In Moundville, Alabama, there is I don't know if you'd call it, I guess, a mound community, or a archaeological site that of the Mississippian Indians. And these included Chickasaw, Choctaw, Cherokee, Creek, and Muskogee Indians. The Mississippians did. And there was a chief there by the name of Chief Tuscaloosa. And that's who Tuscaloosa, Alabama, is named after. Yes, Sabin country, named after Chief Tuscaloosa. But here's the kicker about Chief Tuscaloosa. Chief Tuscaloosa was a black man. He fought the Spanish, De Soto, I believe it was, and was very victorious, I think, until the Battle of Mobile. And that at the time was Mobile, I think. And so nobody really knows what kind of happened to him, I think. From what I can read from my research and studying is that he was not seen after the Battle of Mobile. But he did issue some heavy losses to the Spanish before then. Now, back to where I was. As I said, I grew up right here, only 15, 20 miles from the site. Went to the site one time, I think it was the Cub Scouts that took us, and had black teachers and white teachers growing up. Neither ever told me about Chief Tuscaloosa and that these Indians were actually copper people, black people, as they call them. As they say black people, but copper people. These were dark-skinned, woolly-haired people. And do you know how knowing that could have affected a young black man growing up in the racist South, in a racist town? How empowering that would have been to know that this was a black man who did great things for his people. Now, it is said that Chief Tuscaloosa stood over 7 feet tall, that the Spaniards, barely reached, looked like midgets compared to him. And Tuscaloosa means black warrior, a black warrior. So not only is Tuscaloosa named after him, but the Black Warrior River is named after him. And with all that being said, I did some research on Ancestry And my grandmother's people, herself and her sisters and brothers in the census, were listed as mulattoes. Now, those of you who have done your research and things know what that means, because my grandmother and her people were dark-skinned people. They were not a light-skinned people. Most of them were from brown to very, very dark. And so with that being said, why would they be listed as mulatto in the census? Well, a lot of people did that to protect their families, to keep them away from the Trail of Tears and keep them away from being relocated and moved when the census would come around. Sometimes the census takers would encourage them to put free black or mulatto or something of that nature rather than indigenous or aborigines to these parts. So that lets me know that I do have a connection to, either Cherokee, Chickasaw, Creek, Muskogee, or Choctaw. That that there's a great possibility that I am of the Mississippian tribe. And that's for those of you who are proof-oriented. But I have received downloads that say that I am a part of that tribe. So I truly believe in my heart of hearts that I am a part of that tribe. Do you know how empowering that would have been for me? But these things are hidden from us, and they're hidden from us for a purpose, so that we will not be empowered in our true belief system, in our true spiritual system, in who we really are. Our whole history has been wiped away. They gave us the custom of soul food. Soul food is something that was pushed upon us. That's not an indigenous or an African or a black person, ever how you want to call it. That's not who we were and who are. That's not our culture. That's a culture that was given to us. Food that we had to eat and make tasty because that was all we were given. The term eating high off the hog and eating low off the hog. Well, we ate low off the hog. We got the feet, the chitlins, the stomach, the fat back. We didn't get the bacon and the pork chops and the ham and those things like that. So soul food is not a part of our culture originally. It's something that was forced upon us, but we have, and that's the part about our whole culture, is it's things that have been forced upon us. Now, I'm not down in degrading it. We have been a marvelous people, and we have come a long way, and we have made do with nothing. But it's also time to get back to our culture originally, what we were, what we ate, who we were. A lot of people don't know that, in the wintertime, there was no fruits and things in this area. So where do we get the vitamin C to keep the scurvy and all these other things away? Pine needles. Pine needles are higher in vitamin C than most fruits. We drink pine needle tea. We have all kinds of healing knowledge that has been lost of things. We think that in order to get our vitamin C and things, we have to accept hybrid oranges that don't really taste like oranges anymore. Like Papa Duck always says, if you didn't have an orange in the 80s or before then, you had never really tasted an orange. You don't know what the sweet, savory flavor of an orange is like, because they've all been genetically modified now. But if you get you a cup of pine needle tea, and I drink it often, especially during the winter times when I'm subject to congestion and things like that, it's a great mucus clearer. Pine needle tea. These are all things that we have lost. But I digress, because I wanted to stay on the subject of Chief Tuscaloosa and how I lived here and was raised here only 15 miles away from the encampment and never knew that these so-called Indians, these Aborigines, these indigenous people were black people like me. It's a sad situation where we have been put in. But I hope this motivates you to do your research, to learn the truth, and not just accept what they tell you and what they put in books. I took Alabama history. It was mandatory, I think, in the 7th grade. Nobody ever said anything about this encampment being black. Nobody ever said anything about the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Cherokee, the Creek, or the Muskogee being black people. Well, I hope this helps you in some way on your journey, my melanated people. That's always my intent, is to help you on your melanated journey, help you to understand who you are and have a better understanding of where you come from. All of us did not come from Africa. All of us did not come over on a slave ship. Some of us were here long before the Caucasoids arrived. Peace and blessings to you, melanated people. I love you. Take time to put feet to soil, take in some sunlight, and most of all, love your melanated self. Be blessed.